Hi, and welcome to SCW here on YouTube. We are live, and I'm joined by two of my very good friends today. Of course, I've already done a review for Clash of the Castle, but what better way than the fallout of Clash of the Castle than to talk with two people who were there live at the show, get their experience of what it's like to be at a WWE premium event live, the things you don't realize when you're watching at home, what they don't see, perhaps things they may see that we don't see, the atmosphere, the attendance, all of those sort of things we're discussing and more. But before we get started, guys, if you don't mind, I put a little video package together, and this is just to refresh our memories of what was a fantastic premium live event because, well, it was the first time we had a stadium show in 30 years. So enjoy. This was Clash of the Castle 2022 in Cardiff, Wales. So there you have it. That was Clash in the Castle there. And big thank you for that banger on YouTube. Found it on the YouTube music. It reminded me of the good old Arn Anderson theme music from back in the day, personally. But that pretty much was Clash in the Castle. I'll start off with Jonesy. Did that give you flashbacks immediately to going back to Cardiff? How did you feel watching that back?
Very nostalgic. I can't believe it was only Saturday. It seems like so long ago. But yeah, it was amazing that much happened, to be fair.
Absolutely. And Silk, yourself, I mean, obviously to be there live in attendance must have felt very special. And obviously seeing those clips back there must have it all flooding back very, very quickly.
I'll be honest, I've just watched the whole thing back as well because I haven't had a chance to since I've got back. But yeah, exactly, man. It's exactly that. It's just nostalgic. And it was just an amazing fact to know that I was there. And years down the line, I can go back to the network and know that I was there.
Absolutely. Very special thing indeed. We're going to be talking so much about Cardiff. And just to say as well, yes, Braun Strowman is back, baby. We'll be talking about Braun Strowman in the second part of this stream. So we've got a lot to discuss here today, and we will be talking all things pro wrestling. So start off all things Clash of the Castle, that experience. I want to give a quick shout out as well to Martin Carrillo in the house, who hopes we're all doing fantastic. Martin, hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you for checking out the stream as always. Same to you, Noob and Co. as well, in house. Also, looking forward to hearing your thoughts. And the thing is, some of the people here today, give us your thoughts about Clash of the Castle. Some of the experiences watching at home as well. Would love to know your thoughts of Clash of the Castle if you haven't shared some points with us already. Underground Temple Plays as well, who was at the show also. Do you remember that Roman Reigns sign? Guys, I'm sure you would have seen it in attendance. If Roman wins, we riot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see it. Yeah.
That was Underground Temple Plays who was there. It was actually shown with BT Sports Twitter as well, where finally your face was revealed to everybody in the world they're underground, which is quite a fun little thing as well. But yeah, absolutely superb stuff. Got to say, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing he didn't exist. A quote there from MJF. And of course, it was a fantastic move all out the way that was put together. But we're sticking with things WWE on this stream here. If we have time at the end, we might touch on that topic. But first and foremost, we'll just come with a couple more comments that we've got flying in here quickly. Martin says Clash was definitely a special show for you both, and well, I hope WWE does more in the UK because the fans there are great. And Randy Sam also goes on to say, I don't care about Braun. Happy he back. Give me Gunter versus Braun and Imperium back, baby. They are back indeed. Sheamus gets his flowers worth, Hall of Fame worth, in my opinion. And also Patrick did say Hell Week as well. So that's catching up with the chat nice and early, nice and quick. So first and foremost, I have a couple of bits here that were brought to the pictures from Jonesy and from Silk as well. So we've got a few things perhaps that you wouldn't have seen, even actually from watching the show. And Jonesy, you gave me this picture here. This is coming from outside in Cardiff here. So what is this that we're seeing here with the WWE truck? I mean, clearly they said in the press conference they took over Cardiff during this experience. What sort of stuff did you see?
It was absolutely insane. So the whole town, literally, you walk down the high street and you've got giant posters of all the wrestlers. You've got a cardboard cutout of The Rock, Roman Reigns. You go into bars, there's wrestling music playing. Pretty much every venue was trying to get in with the wrestling fans. Next door to that truck, there was like a pop-up Drew, which was a giant-sized Drew McIntyre you can take a photo with. And further on, there's the Undertaker Experience. It was just unreal. It was almost like I've never seen a whole town be taken over by wrestling. And when you see the non-wrestling fans in with other people, it's just a party atmosphere. I felt like I was going to a football match, in all honesty. The amount of people going around, people having wrestling matches or people dressed as referees. I saw somebody have a 24/7 title match, it looked like, in the high street, which was quite entertaining. But no, it was just an amazing atmosphere. It was such a buzz. Like, you could tell the people excited, and it was fantastic. I think from an organisation perspective, very, very good. I think when we got to the merchandise stand, that was chaotic. WWE didn't seem to do very well with that, but for me, it was just incredible. Like, just seeing that town be lit up and all the posters everywhere. You walk down the street and you're looking up. It's like going down the high street. Oh, hi, Seth Rollins, you're up there. And it's like, wow, this is just crazy to take over that part of the high street, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And you got there on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I got there Saturday morning.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the thing is that the buzz, the feeling with that, you must have been chopping at the bit for this show to start and you could get in towards that stadium.
Yeah, I agree. So, prime example, you're getting on the train. Me and my mate was on the train. We get on it. It's kind of quiet. We get to Bristol, and all you see is wrestling fans. And then you know the next person next to you is a wrestling fan. So you're going to have a conversation on the journey. I end up speaking to two nice lads from Scotland. We're talking about AEW and a few other things. But it's great to hear people's opinions and predictions, more importantly. It's just fantastic to be able to have that conversation with somebody you know who's got an interest the same as you.
Absolutely, indeed. And NXSteve, for yourself, obviously, you were there as well. You travelled, was I not mistaken, you travelled on the Friday afternoon, the day before?
Yeah, I did. Me and three of my mates, we drove up to Barry Island on the Friday night, stayed in a hotel, and then we stayed in a completely separate hotel near Bristol on the Saturday night just to kill. It was like a 4-hour drive, so we killed an hour on the Saturday night just to save a bit of time, honestly, on the way home on Sunday.
Of course, absolutely. So basically, this is more for UK reference. You kind of did the Gavin and Stacey route here.
Yeah, just a bit, yeah.
Absolutely, indeed. So what were your feelings? Because obviously you got the day before. Was this a lot of this stuff also seen for you where you were like, oh my God, right, okay, we've got, like you said, the signs there. We've got, you know, the trucks here, the merchandise stands. Was all this even like that the day before? What was that feeling being in Cardiff like?
I mean, yeah, the hotel we was at initially in Barry, there was a couple of wrestling fans staying there. There was even a couple on the Saturday night in the Bristol one, which is like an hour away, and it was like quite shocking to still see some people that far out. So obviously some people had the same idea as us. But for personally, my experience of Cardiff was completely different. Like I honestly thought it was a bit of a shambles. Like I knew someone else that went to the show, and she told me that not only was the wrestling on, but there was a Scouting for Girls gig on. There was an Alan Carr stand-up tour or stand-up gig, and there was also a festival going on in a tent or something, which was near where we parked. So they had 4 events going on in one weekend. It just seemed to make it a bit chaotic. Don't get me wrong, like Jonesy said, it's nice to walk around and just see a sea of wrestling fans. Everyone's got some form of wrestling T-shirt on, but the pop-up store was an absolute nightmare. We walked past it. The queue come out of the store into an empty unit next to it, went zigzag back all the way through the pop-ups, the unit next to it, back out, then across the front of the pop-up store. So we didn't even go in it. It was just absolutely... And we got into Cardiff at like 11 o'clock in the morning because the idea was, well, because we were driving in, we were like, right, well, we need to find somewhere to park. We'll get in early enough and then we'll just do whatever. Like we planned to go and watch the early kickoff on the Saturday. Couldn't find any. We found somewhere to stand for the first half, but it was just impossible to do anything. And we ended up actually going to the cinema for 2 hours because it was National Cinema Day. We went to see Bullet Train, and it cost us £3 a ticket, by which I recommend highly. It's actually a really, really good film, but it just killed 2 hours. And then by the time that finished, it was time to go to the event.
Absolutely superb there. So a question I need to ask you both then, before I go to the chat once again, is did you buy any merchandise whilst you were there? Jonesy, I'll ask you first.
No, I didn't. I wasn't conned. Don't get me wrong, I had the money to, but they were ripping people off. Like, I feel sorry for kids and stuff. Like a T-shirt saying Cardiff 316, £35. A hat that looked like something from a thrift store or a Poundland with just a WWE logo. That's £15. A program was £15, which was just pictures. There's no text in it. For me, I wasn't really motivated. Like, the way I looked at it is, I knew I was at the show. In a year's time, I probably wouldn't need to wear that T-shirt again. But I saw a lot of merchandise go. There was the person I was with actually ended up spending like over £120 on merchandise, and someone else I know also spent £350 on a belt. So WWE certainly made their money. Like they were particularly targeting everybody basically by the pop-up store. And as what Silk said, the organisation to that was chaos. The waiting area was bigger than the pop-up store, so we just walked past it as well in similar vein.
Absolutely. So just to disappoint the chat very quickly, Jones, you didn't buy a Lily doll.
I couldn't see a Lily doll. I did see someone walk past with one, and I nearly nicked it off them for a laugh. But I wasn't going to do that to them. But no, I didn't see it. I saw that and then kind of ran away in horror. To be honest, I couldn't believe someone's walking around with it. Other people walking around with title belts. That person walking around with Lily. Priorities, I guess, in life.
Absolutely, indeed. There, Martin actually goes to say it feels like Alexa Bliss remembers that you, Jonesy, and NXSteve hate Lily, so Lily didn't decide to travel to Cardiff. Probably a passport issue as well, if we're being brutally honest. But we don't want to go into that. Obviously, there's been some visa issues with a few of the WWE superstars, but less said the better. But Silk, yourself, it was again. I thought I saw you shaking your head there. You didn't go for the merchandise either whilst there.
No, I mean, if Drew had won, I probably would have bought something just to remember the moment. But for the fact, the same reason, Jonesy, the fact that they're charging £35 for a T-shirt that's normally 25 quid, and everything's branded with superstars that weren't even there. So you had Cardiff 316, you had the Skull T-shirt with the Wales flag in it, and I just thought this is not on point merchandise, and I just was like, I'm not going to be ripped off by it all. But yeah, it was like I said, they just overpriced everything and just tried to make the most out of it whatsoever. So yeah, I didn't get anything at all.
No, absolutely. You can just try and make a comparison as well, because obviously the only show I've been to was an arena show, but was in the States. So from my memory, was Survivor Series last year. I believe the T-shirt as well was $35. I believe whilst I was there, and obviously it being my honeymoon as well, that's the reason why I would have done it. But otherwise, I probably wouldn't have done it like yourselves. But yeah, it just goes to show that there is the comparison there. But dollars to pounds, I'm not sure the exact exchange rate off the top of my head, but it's good to know. But we've got another fun question as well for you both here. Whilst you're here, Randy Sam says, I'm going to ask, what food did NXT and Jonesy eat during the show? Was there any sort of munchies there that you were fancying while you were in Cardiff?
You can go first, Silky, mate, or I can go up to you.
For me personally, I didn't actually eat the entire time I was in Cardiff because I just didn't want to be ripped off. And I said a lot of the fast food places that were in Cardiff were just absolutely rammed, and I was like, I'm not going to waste time. So yeah, I didn't eat from about 10:30 that morning till about 10:30 that night, and I just avoided it. Or a couple of my mates got something while in the arena, but they were charging like £6 for a hot dog, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying that price. I lie. Actually, I bought one drink. I bought a cider while I was in there, and it was like, I think it was £6 for a cider, and it weren't even cold. So again, I could have easily just thrown my money away. It would have made more sense.
Absolutely, Jonesy.
I got some noodles, like near the pop-up store. There was quite a good place for some noodles. And I had a drink. And when I got back to the near Newport where I was staying, I got like some chicken burger and chips. It was pretty awful. When I read that Tyson Fury's son, I had one bite and I thought, this tastes like how I feel that Drew didn't win the belt. So I just put that down in protest, basically. So I was quite tired by that point. But no, I didn't eat particularly much either. I didn't buy anything in the stadium either. I was kind of struggling to find where I was sitting, which we'll probably get into later. And I was kind of scared if I went trying to find just a drink. It was chaos in there. That I would lose where I was. I was more excited by being there, if that makes sense, rather than getting up and trying to go through sort of a maze to get back to where I sat.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Well, I'll tell you, we'll answer this question nice and early because Martin's kindly put in. He wants to know if both Jonesy and NXT were singing with Tyson Fury's terrible voice at the end of the show. I think we can quite simply put, I don't think either of you stuck around after Drew lost.
No, we ducked out as soon as Drew lost. We were gone because me traveling to Bristol, I had to be out there before 60,000 people were, because obviously once you try leaving in a car, it's just hectic. So yeah, we left straight away, and I'm actually quite glad I did.
I got a train in Newport, and a funny story. This is typical Jonesy. I'm on the platform, and there's two guys behind me. One of them's got a John Cena shirt on. I said to him, "Oh, what do you make of the main event, Drew losing?" They didn't speak a word of English. They looked at me like I was an idiot. They looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I was like, "Okay, that didn't go well." I'll just leave that conversation there. I've never seen someone react to a question about a main event. It was just quite entertaining to see. Really, the amount of multi-language people on site. It wasn't just English people; it was everybody there. Really.
Just to add on to what you were saying about the people from the English speaking people, this is why I thought Cardiff was the wrong choice, because they said something like 74% of people that attended were from outside of Wales. True. And it was like, let's be honest, Wales doesn't have the best infrastructure when it comes to transport. So I can imagine that a lot of people did what we did, and that's why it was probably hectic for a lot of people parking and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Triple H did actually mention that in his press conference, that how international WWE is. So, yeah, fascinating stuff indeed there. And just quick shout out to Jeff Samuel as well as sup guys. Good day. Hope you're doing well as well. And Too Sweet Carl in the house as well from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, who are doing an extra show this week. They're doing tonight and Thursday. Give you a little quick plug there. And the boys are back at it. Hope you're doing well. We are indeed obviously talking all things Clash in the Castle. And of course, Martin's got another question here for us now from watching it almost every WWE show. Was this the first time a crowd was singing Metalingus? If so, how are you guys feeling during those moments? So obviously, yeah, I mean, let's talk about the atmosphere. Let's talk about inside. 60,000 people in this stadium, which obviously that's no small feat. That's got to be probably the second biggest show I think WWE has done all year. Maybe I can be corrected with that. Can't remember the Royal Rumble attendance, but certainly outside of WrestleMania, probably is the next big one. Big songs like Metalingus. Obviously, we're talking about the sing-alongs in the crowd during the Bayley match as well. Hey Bayley, are you going to be my girl? Stuff like that. I mean, Steve, we'll start with you. I mean, how was that feeling inside there amongst 60,000 people?
It was, tell you what, it was absolutely phenomenal. Like, that was the one thing I was looking forward to, if I'm honest, when we got there, was hoping that people would sing the Bayley chant. And I'll tell you what, it was absolutely spot on. And my God, it just proves how much I've missed Bayley, because she done the best work to try and sell it as a heel. It was, you could tell on her face though that she loved it, and it was just amazing. And yeah, first time I'd ever personally seen a crowd sing along to Metalingus as well. Just unbelievable. And it makes me sit there and think, it's like, why have crowds never done this before? It's such a banging tune, and for say 60 odd thousand people, or say most of them who knew the song, to sing along, absolutely unreal. It was amazing.
Absolutely indeed. Then obviously just to give people a bit of insight, Silk did send me a picture of where he was sitting, and look at the view here, obviously in the upper decks there, but look at that. How gorgeous is that view, seeing that entire stadium there? Obviously you can still see the action in the ring as well. You've got the big screens also there if you need to see anything as well, up close and personal. For me, a fantastic viewpoint, and what a fantastic shot you got there for us to share with everybody here on YouTube today.
Yeah, so we was quite lucky, because if you've got the other picture that I sent you, if you just pop that one up a second, show them. So so you can see just after the Wales flag on the upper tier is where we were meant to originally be, and on the Friday they'd completely deleted our ticket, and we was like, oh, what's going on here then? And by Saturday they'd actually relocated us to where we were in the other view. So we got an absolute touch of a result, because we paid like 30 quid for them God tier ticket or God seat tickets. And to be sitting in the tier below, halfway up the stadium, for I think those prices when they went on general sale were like 115, 120 quid. So we had an absolute bit of luck there.
Absolutely. And obviously, what's fun with that as well, obviously, Principality Stadium. Thank you very much there. Sometimes my teeth fall out. And it gets a situation where you just think to yourself, like, it's supposed to have 74,000 people. Clearly, 60,000 people in the tents. They've had that section cut off. What a bonus, a stroke of luck of where you are sitting there. And I've got to say, a fantastic viewpoint as well. Jonesy, for yourself, obviously, first off, before I show everybody how your seats, and we go through your story as well, because you've got a very fun story to share with us as well. First off, the electricity, the feeling, the moment, the sing-along with the chants and with the music.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Like the reaction to people. Edge was the most over person on the whole show, unbelievably, besides Drew McIntyre. Incredible. The crowd reaction to him, clearly a Hall of Fame legend. It was really, really good. And what I loved about the crowd here was stuff that myself, I didn't really kind of pop to. Prime example, when Dominik Mysterio turned heel, it was like a reaction almost like of Undertaker losing to Lesnar. It was that kind of shot. People were genuinely around me shot. It's just great to see that people have that passion for wrestling that they have no idea that's going to happen when I thought, oh, we've been saying it for weeks that was going to happen. I just think the crowd played their part. I think the classic reaction was when Drew didn't win, because all day people around us were saying, Drew's winning, the Fiend's coming, Drew's winning. The back of my mind, I didn't think he was going to win as much as I sort of wanted him to win. It would have been the right thing to do to put an audible based on that crowd reaction. Drew probably should have won. The minute Drew kind of lost, in all honesty, that crowd kind of went down, if that makes sense a little bit. But an absolute classic, really. It was just an epic pay-per-view in all accounts. And the crowd were fantastic all night through.
Absolutely, and that's a fun part as well, though, because obviously we'll quickly talk about that, and then we'll show Jonesy seat. Obviously, coming from home, you got a lot of feeling. Obviously being at one of myself, and we discussed, Jonesy, when I'd been to my one in Survivor Series, you said about how it didn't always translate the same on TV. It was quite loud once you were there, and feeling it. There were moments we were quieter, but moments when we were loud, and obviously, I remember you saying it didn't come through the same way on TV. here, I think in large portions, because of the fact that it'd been the first time in a long time, a lot of times you really felt that energy. There were moments through the show. I would say probably the Liv and Shayna match, you felt like an energy drop, but that's natural, I think, after Sheamus and Gunther. I mean, that was a hard-hitting match they had. I would say that even with the Riddle introduction, I thought myself, I expected a big pop the minute that his music hit. It took until probably the end of the ring announcement for it to come through on the TV for me, where I could start hearing the bro chants. Sil, did you have this energy inside the arena where when watching it back today that you felt a difference of the two?
The biggest one I noticed was when Broken Dreams played for Drew McIntyre, because the production value doesn't show you how loud the crowd actually was. It's very like muted out, but that crowd was singing it, and it's very shocking because it was one of the biggest. Like, you can hear audibly when he starts playing, the crowd go crazy for it. But yeah, the production value doesn't show you all. I've got a recording on my phone of when it played, and I'll have to send it to you. But yeah, it was the biggest thing I noticed when watching it back. But yeah, same thing. But then it was obviously with the Liv and Shayna one, it was just timing. Like, you put it in after, I believe it was the Gunther and Sheamus match. The crowd have already gassed from that last match. It's really hard to get into a match when we've just had something that good. So it was just unfortunate placing on the card, I think, for them two more than anything.
Certainly. And Jonesy, would that be the same for you? Is there any moments you like? Because I think you've watched the show back as well, haven't you?
Yeah, just looking back at a couple of things. So Liv and Shayna in our section, people throwing beach balls. There was a mute reaction. There was no real reaction to either. So to me, it called the crowd down, which is what they needed, really. It was okay. I think that was okay. In terms of crowd reaction, anything with Drew, like I was surrounded by everywhere I sat, I seemed to be sat next to Scottish people, and they were really into Drew, understandably. It's just amazing, like the way they did that and sort of the way the crowd responded. Just everybody was jumping to everything, like the louder bumps and stuff like that. Every moment felt like a huge moment in this pay-per-view. The Gunther Sheamus match was absolutely incredible as well. That match was, for me, standout. And I think, to be fair, that would belong on probably the best match of the year I've seen this so far on any company, because it was that good. Live, it was even better, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, indeed. There. And well, Jonesy, let's go through then and look at where you were sitting. You sent me some pictures, though. I do think I've got the Megastore as the first picture, so bear with me. Obviously, if anyone wants a clip of what the Megastore looked like, there it is. But here's some of Jonesy's shots here. But one thing you'll notice as we go through these pictures, Jonesy, I'd like you to explain, you sort of changed location partway through these pictures here. So what happened?
So I'd been up since 5:30 in the morning, and we came into the stadium rushing to get in. So I got in, sat in our seat, and we get through the sort of pre-show match. We get through the 6-woman tag match. We get halfway through the Gunther match, and someone goes, "You're sitting in our seats." And I was like, "Well, no, we're not sitting in the seats. We've got these seats." We end up then getting dragged down from where we were. It turns out we were miles in front of where we should have been. So I missed, I had really, really good seats. So I was pretty gutted, to be honest. But moral of the story, get sleep before a pay-per-view and ask where you're going, a steward, if that makes sense. Because the seats we sat, I'm not being rude, the money we paid for, like you'll see in the pictures, the first few seats, they weren't very good. Like, we had no room. It was literally almost like looking at screen and dots compared to the end. Luckily, we got moved halfway through the Gunther and Sheamus match, but it was an experience. I just can't believe we sat in the wrong place for so long. We'd sat there for the whole of we was in the arena about 3:30. We sat there from 3:30 until halfway through the Gunther match. It's just pretty unforgivable, really, to be fair. I've never done that mistake before.
No, absolutely. And again, this is something I can compare from my experience. And this obviously comes down, again, with the organisation of Cardiff, because when I went with the Barclays Centre, literally, they made sure you were escorted to your seats. Like, you couldn't get through and just go on your own. Like, someone would look and go, right, okay, you're around this area. If you, they even made sure if you'd been there or not before, like, we'd never been here before, so we don't know what we're doing. So they actually took us directly to where we were seated. But I mean, obviously, to just sort of be let freelance go, obviously, like you say, things like that can happen. But I mean, for you, obviously, were you more satisfied once you've been moved?
Yeah, 100%. I thought this is the money we paid. Like, people that had paid a lot less had much better views. So I think kind of the money you paid, as you see probably towards the photos, we had a really good seat by the end of it. A funny story. So my mate that I was with, he went wandering off and he went further forward to the section we should have been. And I was thinking, why was he allowed to go through there? Obviously, it was only when someone came in, however late to the show, you were in our seats, we got moved. It's a miracle we did. If I found out that we'd sat there the whole time, I'd have been kind of disappointed, but it was a godsend we got moved. We did. I just wish it was sooner rather than missing the first 2.5 matches, if that makes sense. We saw them, but it wasn't as absorbed, if that makes sense.
Understandably, and so completely as well. Just quick chat as well. Tina's time in the house says, hello, guys. Hope you're doing well, Tina. Thanks for checking out the stream. That and WrestleFan 2007 as well in the house. We've got Martin Creer who says, Solo Sikoa is now considered the biggest heel in Cardiff, probably in Scotland as well, judging by a lot of what we've heard so far in the actual stadium there. But Let's quickly talk about the pre-show, the kickoff, because obviously my experience from it, I believe, is similar to yours. Now, quickly going through, I guess, say, with the Barclays, I had no idea there was anything going on. I didn't even know that at that time what match had been bumped to the kickoff unless I looked on Twitter. So, I mean, Jonesy, obviously, I sent you a message because going into the show, we didn't have a clue there'd be any kickoff matches. And it was only at the start of the kickoff that we were going to have the Madcap Moss Street Profits against Alpha Academy and Austin Theory 6-man tag team match. Before that, was there any way of you finding out or knowing that the kickoff show was on or anything was happening at all?
No, so we go in the arena. Obviously, there's a music plan, like loud house music the whole time. It gets to 10 to 5. I'm thinking, well, where's the kickoff show? Are we going to be able to hear it? Are we going to be able to hear sort of the panel, for example? I thought they might put the audio through. Nothing happens. Eventually, you then message me saying there was a kickoff match. I thought, wow, fantastic. Glad you told me. They came out. The crowd were in shock. It's not like we had any awareness. It's not like they did anything to build that angle up. They just came out. It was a great buzz for that, but by the time that finished, you're then getting a countdown and nothing else is going on. Nobody's really leading you on what's going on. You're having to make best of it, if that makes sense. But I don't know if that's the way for all pay-per-views, but for me, I would have thought that it would be a bit more organized and they would have somebody saying this is the kickoff match. They do the angle in the ring to get that match promoted or even show you a video of what's led to that match, if that makes sense. But it was great to see them. They did get very long. The 6 minutes they had, though, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great opener, to be honest. It got the crowd sort of hyped up, ready to start.
Absolutely did its job, I would have thought there, especially with the big spot there, which was shown in the pictures earlier on there of Montez Ford jumping over the top rope into the blockbuster there on top of everybody on the floor was absolutely incredible. But obviously NXT, I did the same for you as well. But as we've expressed off air, you didn't get the same sort of phone signal where you were. I don't know if that's just whereabouts you were or just the general. If you need a visit to the car phone warehouse, I'm not quite sure what it is. But at the same time,
I think it's just my phone network.
But what was your feeling then? Because obviously it's very easy to say, I'm going to get this from the merch stand. I'm going to go and get a bite to eat. You could have missed it. It's very easily done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it started, I was looking up at the upper tiers, sort of like opposite the hard cam, and half of them were empty still. Like people were rushing their way back to get back to their seats to see what was going on because we didn't have what would have gone. The only thing that was sort of happening otherwise was they had a countdown clock on for the start of the show. But every time it got to the last 10 seconds of the minute, the whole crowd counted down like it was the Rumble and did the buzz noise. And then they took that off screen and the crowd were just like, oh, we was enjoying that. But yeah, aside from it, we just all of a sudden, you just hear Madcap Moss's music start. And we're like, oh, apparently we are getting a pre-show, like a kickoff show match. And yeah, like I said, I didn't get your message until 2 hours later after you text me. It was just mad.
So that happened in your section as well. Sorry to interrupt. That happened exactly next to me as well, Steve. Funny enough, the Royal Rumble countdown.
Yeah. It was everywhere. I could hear everyone was counting it down. It was just absolutely mad.
This is why there will never be an Iron Man match ever again. They've ruined it after that happened. I think it was Extreme Rules 2018 or 19 when it first started. And it shows we don't learn our lesson. We still do that. But anyway, let's quickly go into a few of the comments we've got for here with us, and we'll go back then into detailed feelings with the show as well. Maybe there's some questions put for us as well, put forth already. Two Streetcasters Rumble was only in the 40,000. So maybe
44.
Could be the second biggest show of the year, and Two Sweet Comes it was his third favorite show of the year behind WrestleMania and SummerSlam. No bad matches. Would totally agree. No bad matches on this show. Martin Green says, "Were you both expecting Drew to walk to the ramp with Broken Dreams, or were you guys still satisfied with what we ended up getting?" So, I mean, NXT, this is one of the biggest things we were said for you as one of the things you were most looking forward to. We got some form of Broken Dreams, not the entire thing, but how was you feeling? Was you satisfied with what we got in the end?
Yeah, I was content with it. Like, I wasn't imagining he was going to go back to Broken Dreams, especially since probably a lot of the younger audience don't know it. I think it was more playing to the older fans that knew him from his first time in WWE. But no, I was fine with it. I thought the promo package they run was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I popped hard. Do you know what? When you actually text me and said Broken Dreams, I got that message straight away. It was the only one I got straight away. Everything else didn't come through. But yeah, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and so I think it was just for the older fans and the ones that have seen him like 10 years ago, however long that was.
Absolutely. Jonesy?
Yeah, I loved it. Like, obviously we knew that was going to happen, like kind of, but the pop for it was just incredible, really.
Yeah.
It just made it feel that much better. You felt like it was almost like a WrestleMania with that intro. It further builds up the upset when he doesn't win. Like, for me personally, you get your heart involved. You've got the backstory for a month. This guy's a hero. You give him that entrance, and then not to pay that off. We can talk about that later, but it was just an amazing. It was a goosebump moment for me, that intro. Like, even though I knew it was not the intro package, but the actual song. I knew it was coming, but it was even better live than I thought with the reaction around.
I was shocked by how, like, it's amazing. Like, I've sat there personally for years and gone, "Broken Dreams" is such a banging tune, and then when you get into a 60,000 capacity crowd and like more people are singing it, and you're like, "Oh, a lot more people actually think this is a banger than what I thought it would be."
Absolutely. Underground here says the reason I lost my voice was because of Broken Dreams. It makes a lot of sense there. It really, really does. And Temple does go on. Got a few comments here, so we'll go through them all together now in one bundle. Temple said, got my voice back, lads. BT posted my sign, Legends. And like I say, a face reveal as well, because during the show, I saw the sign. I saw two arms in the air. Couldn't see a face. But now BT, they've made we've seen where the Temple plays now. We know Underground for what he is, but he has said here food was complete garbage. The beer though wasn't bad because I got very drunk only just getting my voice back. But from what I've learned over lifetimes, beers always get better the more you drink. But that's just a personal experience I've had. But we won't go into too much detail if you don't mind. Underground says Sheamus and Volta match of the year for me. Sheamus deserved the aftermath cheers for sure. Absolutely. I mean, we'll talk about moments now from the show. Obviously, actually, there's one other thing I wanted to ask you actually very quickly. Actually, obviously, something that anyone would experience every time they go to a wrestling show. No commentary. Jonesy, do you feel the massive difference with no commentary? Do you have to find yourself working to read the story more? Because sometimes little details aren't given to you. Obviously, for example, we were told on commentary why the Usos and Sami Zayn weren't there with Roman Reigns, where for yourself, you're kind of like, well, maybe from SmackDown, that's the reason why, but you don't have that information fed to you.
Yeah, I guess kind of definitely miss it. I definitely miss Michael Cole in my ear. I know, like, particularly when Sikoa came out at the end, I was half expecting him to say that's Sikoa. When Dominik done the big turn, as you can imagine the commentary on that, you do miss it a little bit, particularly with stuff, because all we really saw was Tyson Fury in the crowd. He said, you know who he is. You see Karrion Kross sitting there, like, you do see that, but you don't obviously get that. But yeah, the commentary wasn't missed, if that makes sense. You do miss that, but you are going off the crowd reaction around you. You are trying to look at the screen and ascertain what you think's going down and putting your own spin on it. Originally, when Sikoa did get revealed, a load of people around me were going, "It's Bray Wyatt," which made me laugh. I just thought, "What? It's not Bray Wyatt, it's Sikoa. Come on!" But I enjoyed that pop for a short while, personally.
Absolutely. And obviously, Silka, for the same for you, like, obviously, the idea of this pops and stuff like that and these magical moments. But the thing is, where commentary can give you one narrative, you have the opportunity to make your own narrative. And obviously, that can lead to your own conclusions of what you get from some of these matches, which can be half, more, if not more, of the fun as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was on the plus side, it was great because you got to embrace the crowd and their reactions, and you got to sing along with it, and you weren't distracted by whatever Michael Cole was saying. But then, like, when I watched it back today, you just realize how much you miss without Michael Cole or a commentary team in your ear. Like, that, I watched it back and I thought the commentary team were absolutely phenomenal on this show. Like, just little things they were saying and doing throughout the show was really good. And yes, I know obviously you're paying for the experience, but yeah, I wish there would be some way that, I don't know, if you could get a commentary team sort of fed into your ear, like, you know, when you go on like bus tours or whatever, and they have a headset for you to listen to talk about these. If they did the same sort of thing, I know it's impossible for 60,000 people, but yeah, like I said, it's sort of just giving me a reason to go back and watch it on the network, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's the thing, is to go and watch the show back as well can have its own magic. And Martin just say, what about implementing a way that commentary can be heard in stadiums and arenas? I think you would get the feedback, though. It's almost as if we had the sound coming through our computers here at the same time from YouTube whilst we're recording on YouTube. You get this horrible feedback. I guess it wouldn't work if they were to do that, Jonesy.
Yeah, no, it probably wouldn't work. But you make your own narrative, don't you? You react the own way you think you want to. A lot of people have in their head how they want stuff to play out and what was going to happen. I think a great moment for me that went under the radar, no one really saw this coming, was Imperium reuniting. That was a huge moment for me.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, like, when it was announced, it was like, well, wow, he's back. And you just kind of, you're then putting your own idea in the head of what's led to this. You're thinking, I thought in my head, where was the backstage angle? I missed something, because but it was so amazing to see them back together. And it just felt like everything just felt really, really special because you're there in person and you've got people around you that are willing to be surprised, more surprised than probably I am, if that makes sense. It's nice to read that reaction off the crowd as well.
Absolutely. And Chris has said here as well that Imperium made him mark out as well here. And obviously the idea of Sheamus potentially being babyface, Pete Dunne being back as well. Sean Ross has commented on it yesterday, apparently. I've not seen those comments, so I can't say for sure. But do you feel, Silk, looking from this? Obviously, we can talk in bits of details of the show here as well, like Sheamus coming out of this now. Do you reckon it can continue on as a babyface, or this is just more for the UK market?
I think if it's going to be a long-term narrative against Gunther, then he needs to have that face pop, which hopefully the British crowd have done that and have got him over, especially with the moment afterwards when he was just standing in the ring, taking in the applause from the crowds. I thought was a really beautiful moment. And like I said, he really deserved it. And like I said, it was almost like that was the face turn moment for Sheamus. So hopefully going forward, those three, especially now Imperium are a three-man team, it can be a great story.
Absolutely. Underground wants to know from both of you, did you shout Walter?
Yes, I did shout Walter.
Yeah, I did, and my mate was confused because it come up Gunther.
Shout Walter, but no, I enjoyed it. I think the thing with that, the good thing about that story they've started building, that's a 6-man that's going to happen, and I think the way that Pete Dunne was there, he got a great pop. They all added every layer of that added to the match, and you get genuine reaction. Gunther's title was in jeopardy. And the crowd were eating up every single moment of that, which made it even more special. Yeah. It's the first time I've seen Gunther in a match where I've generally felt this guy's probably going to lose, maybe. But it's just amazing. Them moments, like, just incredible, really, in person.
Absolutely. This is a question I've got to both of you quickly because there are some comments I've kind of scattered between the comments here. So any I've missed, we'll go back to them. Don't worry from everyone. But quick question I wanted to ask to both of you. You mentioned there about the idea of Sheamus and stuff. Should like an audible being called? Obviously, you could make the argument for Drew as well there. But Sheamus had that big moment at the end of the match. It was almost like Chris Benoit back in like the Royal Rumble, like 2003 after the match with Kurt Angle, where you just get the big appreciation from the crowd. And obviously, Sheamus in amongst the UK, he's not become the Grand Slam champion, but it sort of throws a narrative of where like people are on his side there, and maybe he can go and fulfill that goal now in the United States, maybe even Extreme Rules.
What I would have done if I was booking it, if you want to do what you said, Steve, the way to have done that is Walter's foot's on the rope. The referee doesn't see it, and you give Sheamus the pinfall that way. The title can then be upheld, and then they can do that. That's one way to give the crowd that pop. The crowd obviously probably wouldn't have noticed the foot's on the rope, or maybe they would have, but that could be something they could have done. But for me, they had to do it in the main event. I don't think you need to do it in both. The main event was the one that all counts based on that crowd. They should have swapped the title. 100% audible in ring.
And then Steve, obviously, the main event went the way it did. Obviously, we're probably going to say to everyone quickly because last time we did this, a few people were like, "You're hating on Roman Reigns a lot." We acknowledge the trouble.
Sorry, I said it, didn't I?
Exactly.
We're not hating on him.
We acknowledge the trouble chief. He's been a great champion, but obviously we were a bit patriotic, potentially a bit biased. We won't lie about that. But do you reckon that it would have been the right move for Drew to win on that show? Because just for me, like I thought that the crowd were amazing all night, and I kind of felt like that WWE were left panicking of how to send the crowd home happy after Drew lost there.
Yeah, because we all know Tyson Fury singing with Drew McIntyre is the greatest way to send people home. But I honestly thought we would get one or the other. We would get Sheamus or we would get Drew winning. And then when Sheamus lost, I was like, that's it. Drew's winning now. There's no way you're going to bring two British superstars to the UK and have neither of them walk away with a title. It's stupid. And yeah, like I said, but on the predictions, what has Drew McIntyre got to do to win a title in front of a crowd? And this was the perfect crowd. So I think they've missed the boat with it. But then it just puts Roman Reigns on this god tier level where you're like, the person that does actually beat him has to be something really special. And at the minute, I don't know who that's going to be.
Sorry, after
go on, Jonesy. No, Jonesy, you go for it.
All I was going to say, what I would say for WWE, and that is, I agree with Silk with what he said. What they should have done, if I was WWE and I was booking this, that finish at the end with Tyson Fury and Drew is a Poundland finish. It's not enough. Sorry, you've not delivered Bray Wyatt. What they could have done, which was very easy to do, they should have had Kevin Owens attack Roman Reigns after. Kevin Owens would have got a massive reaction, and it would have been far better than Tyson Fury and Drew in the ring. You'd have had that buzz because you don't think Kevin Owens is there. And that creates something. That's the next feud. The next feud is going to be Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens in Saudi Arabia. They've already started the work for that. So that's what they should have done, in my opinion. But for me, it was a time to play an audible. It was a clever placement at Sikoa, but Sikoa wasn't really well known. It's a huge spot for him to cost Drew the title. And for me, it just it really soured the pay-per-view. This was the spot for Roman to lose, in all honesty. I don't know. He may get to WrestleMania and face Cody Rhodes and lose it. The crowd won't be as hot as they were on this show.
It would be
just
hard
out of interest. sorry, just out of interest, what was the reason that Usos and Sammy wasn't there? Because I never watched SmackDown last week because I was obviously in Cardiff.
So basically, on the pre-recorded one that was there, Drew McIntyre actually interrupted the Roman Reigns celebration. The Roman Reigns celebration was started in ring with Sami Zayn and the Usos. Sami was trying to be the master of ceremonies, as you can imagine. Jimmy was buying it. Jay didn't. Jay took over the mic and sort of made the announcement. The tribal chief Roman comes out in the parking lot. He gets attacked by Drew McIntyre, but it's simple, like, I think it was like a simple claymore or something that took him out. It was like a one move took him down. But then Drew came to ringside and literally laid out everybody. They went through barricades, all sorts of weapons being used. So basically, Drew basically laid everybody out. From the understanding of it, is I believe the Usos were not able to travel. I don't know if there's like with visa issues and stuff like that. They weren't in Canada, obviously, when they were in Toronto recently. Sammy is a different question altogether. I'm not sure why Sammy didn't travel, but they didn't have everybody on that show.
You'll find with the Usos, it's anything, even like little things like DUIs and stuff. It really is a hassle trying to get into the UK with the smallest criminal convictions. Like, it's really impossible. So yeah, you can tell the Usos weren't going to be there, but the audible of having Solo Sikoa there instead, I guess we all should have seen it coming really. But it was a great surprise.
I believe Underground made mention of it on the NXT stream at the time when we said maybe, but we all thought he was going to go for the North American.
We knew he was coming to the main roster, didn't we? I think we said in the wrestling report that he's coming to the main roster, but that placement was really, really good. It's just one of them things that had to cost Roman the belt, or Roman had to retain the belt in some capacity. It's kind of escalated that storyline in a quick spot. Just the air evaporating though. The minute that this happened, you could hear sort of the referee be pulled out of the ring. And all there is like really, really sad. It's just, but don't get me wrong, it's a moment for Roman. But yeah, I'd be surprised. Like whenever Roman does drop the belt, he's obviously probably be facing The Rock potentially. I just don't think they'll get that reaction that they've got on this show because they built up Drew so well. Did such a good job in the package this pay-per-view. 6 months building this show, and the video package is playing on people's heartstrings, broken dreams. Yeah. You've got such a package together for not to deliver it. Yeah, definitely should have pulled an audible. 100% on the show. It was a mistake, big mistake by Triple H. I think. Not just saying it as a UK person, it's just a huge mistake in general.
Absolutely.
It just would have made sense.
Certainly did. Martin asked a question here. What was the most unpredictable thing each of you witnessed before, during, or after the show? Jones, I'll let you go first.
So before the show, it was just generally trying to get into the arena. It was chaos. It was almost like having to go through a slalom just to get in. There was no order of a queue. People kind of pushing in. It was almost like people fighting for a title shot or something, just trying to get in the arena. It was just a mess. During the show, the most craziest things were people just literally sort of just shouting random stuff on the beach ball going around. That was kind of crazy. After the show was just people like arguing outside in the street. Loads of people getting really upset that Drew lost. It seemed to create a real bad atmosphere. It's almost like watching a football match. Your team conceded in the 90th minute. It had that sort of reaction around. The atmosphere outside the show after changed slightly. It wasn't particularly a nice atmosphere, I felt.
That's a shame, really. When you finish the show as well, that you'd want to have that good vibe going home. And obviously, they did surprise me when you said they're going into the show. Was the 24/7 champion making that run first? And everyone chasing?
It's just chaos, mate. Like I don't know if it's the same at Survivor Series for you, but when you go in, there's nobody on the road because when we queued up, we were having to queue on the high street base or the road just to go into the stadium, and there's nobody really saying this is the queue, this is where it starts. You're literally getting the queue and hoping nobody else pushes in. Basically, we made it in good time, but it was not a great experience. I'm being honest. I thought it'd be better, more organised for safety, really.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, obviously, COVID was still quite heavy during the period when I was doing it, but there was the big front area going through the Barclays. We got the big sign, the Barclays bit. We were along the side, like people said, you can go through on this side bit, and they've seen like the tickets where we're going to sit. They said we recommend you to go down there, so we went down to like a side entrance, and that was a bit more civilized going. And I couldn't imagine what it would like be going in the front way where the mega store was as well. That probably would have been very chaotic. But Silk, did you have any troubles going in? And obviously, also answering Martin's question as well.
Yeah, just before, same as what Jonesy was saying, it felt more like a football crowd. Like we actually saw someone getting arrested as we were walking to the stadium, and it was like there's people walking around with their kids and stuff, and it's like I don't think people are taking into consideration that the people are going to the show with their families. Getting into the stadium as well was a bit of a nightmare because the principality's on the river. If you come in from the wrong end, you've got to walk around the whole way of the stadium. It's just an absolute nightmare. But luckily enough, they let us walk down past the river. During the show, generally just some of the results, the crowd reactions I thought were great. That's what I didn't expect it to be as lively as what it was. And then afterwards, same as what Josie said, as we were walking out, there was one geezer just walking down the road screaming, "What a waste of money!" And I was like, well, it was your choice to pay the ticket price, but yeah, I don't think a lot of people were happy with the result by the end of the night.
I mean, it is what it is. You know, so you win some, you lose some. It's a scripted show at the end of the day, and WWE have made their choice of who was going to pick up the W, whether it's right or wrong. That's only for us to speculate and decide, but we'll know when Roman eventually loses it, if it was the right move or not, when he eventually does. Kenneth Paul's been waiting patiently just for us to bring this comment up. Unfortunately, it probably won't be too long because it's an AEW comment. This is breaking news. CM Punk has been injured again. It says by Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer, but I'm guessing not directly by Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer. That would be a bit strange after the media scrum, but yeah, I mean, quick, just very, very quickly, guys, because obviously we want to keep focus on our main topics here today. We're not going to do AEW, but CM Punk and that media scrum, if we can sum up in about 60 seconds, what were our thoughts?
Insane. Like, I don't believe this will work, but Tony Khan to me almost reminds me of like having a manager next to you at work and being in there with a real, like one of your senior managers, and me, for example, saying something I shouldn't, like saying, "Oh, this team member slipped up, but we covered for him." It's almost like saying that publicly. Tony Khan's just there biting his lips, and for once, I felt really sorry for him. Like, yeah, not a good situation. It's WCW, like, unfortunately.
I would 100% agree. Very WCW like it felt very awkward. I felt sorry for Tony Khan as well. Some of the things that were said. I understand he was given questions and stuff, and he's reacting to questions being given, but some of the information was totally unneeded. And it felt like he was very, very salty the whole way through of those 20 minutes. So they are fascinating watch as well. NXSteve.
Yeah, I watched it back and I was like, the fact that Punk's going off at everyone, I was like, it almost felt like a shoot promo. But it was just a really strange thing to watch, and it just seems like AEW's in a slight bit of chaos at the minute, especially with like the report that a fight broke out afterwards, and Nick Jackson got knocked out, and Kenny Omega got bit. But as for the part of Tony Khan, he just reminds me of like Jonesy was saying, you have a manager that he only has a backbone when he's standing behind someone else who doesn't like who's doing the talking for him, and he's kind of like standing behind and going, yeah. Yeah. That's what he said. Yeah, what he said. Yeah, he doesn't. He sounds like he doesn't have a clue or control over that show at all.
No, it does. It seems.
I don't know how much of it is a work. Some of it, I think, is legit. Like the heat between Colt Cabana and CM Punk's obviously legit, but the rest of it. Do you remember they had that angle of MJF where he flew home from that conference a while ago, and that was a work. Yes. I definitely think Meltzer and Alvarez are in some sort of cahoots with Tony Khan doing some sort of angle, but it's got that batshit crazy. I don't really know how they get out of this. The only way we will see is if serious people get fired. If people seriously get fired, then it is legit rather than some sort of work, really.
Absolutely. And also, Underground says he did say the joke would be MJF. I did as well. If you go back to the prediction stream,
MJF would come back.
We did, didn't we? And I even said he'd be the Joker as well, and said they'd cashed in the chip to pin an ex-WWE guy. It does seem like it's got all the makings of a fantastic story, and obviously, I would like to go into that topic at some point, but it would take a lot of depth to do so because I think there's a lot of layers. All I will just leave you with a bit of positivity. I've been singing the Rolling Stones a lot in the last 2 days.
Great tune.
It is a great tune. Definitely got sympathy with the devil. Underground also says here, I would have booked Tyson Fury to KO Roman like Tyson did to HBK, where McIntyre gets the win, like Austin beat HBK at WrestleMania 14. Great nostalgia there, Jonesy. Is that something you would have liked to have seen, or do you reckon it should have been clean had Drew have won?
I think it should have been like, it depends on what they've got. We really thought Tyson Fury was there really to, besides punching Austin Fury, to do something with either one of them two. Like he's in the ring shaking hands. He's a boxer. I was expecting some sort of movement. Roman needed to be brought down a level. Tyson Fury doing that would have done that, and that would have made some sort of sense, really.
Absolutely, indeed. There, NXSteve.
So Tyson Fury was Drew McIntyre's insurance policy for Austin Theory. Really, really strange booking. And like I said, he got in the ring afterwards, and I was like, "Oh wait, are we getting Tyson Fury versus Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal Championship?" I was like, "No way!" And then, like I said, I think Jonesy texted me this and said, it would have just been better if Drew had claimed Tyson Fury and then just obviously built to that match.
Should have done that. Could have done a full heel turn if they really wanted to. Drew fouls, loses plot, blames the fans, gets on the mic. I blame you, etc., etc. I know you're sending people even more angry, but Drew it would be a great heel, and that would make sense. Like he has to blame somebody. Yeah. I would have much rather seen Gargano than Fury do that spot with stopping Austin Theory. But obviously, Gargano isn't Tyson Fury, isn't worth the command, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I texted Jonesy a couple of days ago and said the same thing. I said I'm pretty sure if Tyson Fury is going to do anything, he's going to be the one that stops Theory from cashing in. But it just the interaction afterwards, it was really, really stupid.
It was, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I loved the Austin Fury and the punch. It was a sports center moment. I thought it was really the comedic timing, the landing of the shot. Austin Fury sold it so well.
Absolutely loved it. The crowd around it absolutely loved it. And they thought it was incredible.
Yeah, I just meant the whole Tyson Roman Reigns bit after I thought was done. But yeah,
right, okay.
The
I would agree with that.
What I would say as well, another thing, like obviously there's a clip of Tyson Fury in Roman Reigns' locker room. He's there with Drew. They're showing these backstage clips of him with the people, but there's no real end payoff to that. Don't know why they did that in all honesty. Like, other than saying he's now friends with both of them. Is Tyson Fury a good guy or a bad guy? The fact that Roman Reigns is shaking his hand, Roman should have brushed him off, man. He should have said acknowledge me and brushed him off. He doesn't need to shake hands with Tyson Fury. But a small thing.
Good.
Minor details, isn't it? I mean, I thought Fury was going to knock out Drew McIntyre and say, you let us down, and would have built it for Crown Jewel, but clearly not. But at the same time, it was said in the press conference that Tyson Fury reckons he's got other boxing commitments that he has to do before he can come and do WWE. In fact, even breaking news today, he's offered a fight for Anthony Joshua, an all-UK fight. It's been one that's been technically avoided for a long time, whichever side it's been, but we'll have to wait and see if that's done before the end of the calendar year. But that's boxing. It's not professional wrestling. We're going to sort of now just talk for the next few minutes then and just go through overall impressions of the show, match of the night, anything you didn't like of match-wise, and just go through those bits. So I see Steve's mic is off at the second. So Jonesy, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts then with this? What were your thoughts of the show overall, basically? Give us a
fantastic show. Really, really good. Really felt like a big pay-per-view. I think every match kind of delivered besides the women's title match. Sensible booking across the show. Bayley getting that win made sense. I thought it was a fantastic show. The only thing the show lacked was any sort of real stuff on the microphone in front of the crowd, any backstage angles. There wasn't that on the screen really. And I thought it was just really good. The only thing I sort of felt we missed was a big return. Like, it would have been nice to see a Braun Strowman or somebody like a Bray Wyatt there for that buzz, or even Sasha Banks, to be fair. The fact we didn't get any of that, it was a skeleton crew for me, and I'm surprised WWE didn't bring over Bobby Lashley or Kevin Owens. Them two, to me, it was a shame when we saw these video packages of people like Cody Rhodes and a Becky Lynch. Everyone around me was booing because they're not there. It was just like, well, you're showing me this. Why they're not there? When we didn't get the other stars, it kind of did put a sour on it. But overall, fantastic pay-per-view. I really hope WWE do this next year. And it felt that the Gunther and Sheamus match itself was worth the money alone because it was just incredible. Want to see more of that, please.
Was that your match of the night?
Yeah, that was definitely match of the night. Match of the year, match of the night, definitely.
Fantastic. NXSteve then. So give us your review, your match of the night, your experience of that card watching that show. A
solid card aside from the Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler. Just felt it was dead. Like obviously after the Gunther Sheamus match, it was bad placement on the card. Gunther Sheamus was my match of the night. Just thought it was fantastic. Loads of hard hitting action. Obviously the crowd backing Sheamus was amazing. Bit confused by the finish to the Judgment Day Edge Rey Mysterio match, because why would Dominik help Edge and Rey win for him to then turn and then join Judgment Day? Really didn't make sense. Surely it would have made sense if you turn during the match and cost them it. Or, do you know what I mean? Didn't make sense for me. Rollins versus Riddle I thought was great. The stomp off the second rope I thought was fantastic. I'm now waiting for a stomp off the top rope. That's going to be one for the future to look out for. The main event was fantastic. The opener as well. Bayley just doing what Bayley does best and absolutely trying to heal it up when the crowd loves her too much, and she loves it as well. You could just see from her face. But overall, just a genuinely fantastic show.
So all in all then, I have to ask that. Actually, I have one thing I'm going to ask before I get your overall scores and experience of Cardiff in general, Clash of the Castle being in attendance. But first of all, James, you mentioned about these video packages in between. Obviously, you get video packages when you're live in the show. My experience there, you almost got them on the screen, but you didn't always get them full screen though, because the Tron is so massive. But was that the same for you? Did you get like part screens, or did you get full screens? Did you get every experience of what those video packages were throughout the night?
You get part screen, so you've got the Clash of the Castle logo, and then you've got obviously the video package, and then obviously they play randomly. Sometimes what I noticed is where we sat, I couldn't really see the entrance way, so I had to look behind me. There's another screen with the entrances. There's one that says Clash of the Castle, shows the ring. They just seem to just play half screen, really, it seemed.
Fair play to you.
Yeah,
right,
so
go on,
so just say where I was sitting, obviously the castle is a obviously 3D model, so they had whenever the segments were up, it would take up a small part of the center of the screens on the castle. But at either end, they've got a screen at the top of the roof, so you could see them. And they played the audio out loud, so you could still hear it. But yeah, it was just obviously it's the moments in between where it's just dead silent and you don't know what's going on.
I think that's understandable there. I'm going to ask as well, because me and Jonesy, we've had this back and forth just for every time we would talk premium live events with these video packages as well. And I always say, you'd be grateful for it if you need a bathroom break. Was there a point where you thought to yourself, God, I'm glad that video is playing, because I need to quickly just dash that out there quickly?
Not where I sat, mate. It would take me like probably the whole of one match to get there to the toilet and back. No, I'm joking.
Really?
No, I was sat in sort of no man's land. Like the toilets weren't accessible.
Yeah.
I imagine that it'd be great for the video packages weren't that long. If they were collectively aired one after another, then maybe. But you have got no idea the order of the matches. You're just hoping you go and you don't miss a match you really want to see. But yeah, I guess that would make sense for that, like in terms of giving people that break or to go to the bar. But once I was sat in my seat, I wasn't going anywhere. To be fair, I wasn't going to queue up for a Coke and then miss something. Like I just, in case anything happened, really with Triple H's WWE, you never know what's going to happen. So, no, my luck, I would have gone to the bar and I don't know, Bray Wyatt would have come under the ring or something. Probably no, my luck, and I'd have been really gutted. So I didn't go.
Thankfully, not Dexter Loomis. NXSteve, then. Anything you'd like to add on that?
No, it's to say that it's just obviously it's a mad rush every time any match finishes where people are going to the toilet. I mean, or going to go to the bar, going to get food. It was always sort of in between matches. I did notice that quite a few people in my section kind of got up when the Liv Morgan Shayna Baszler match was on. Whether that was just general interest or they just whether it's like the hardcore fans know that this is kind of like this is your toilet break match essentially, with no disrespect to the two competitors involved, but yeah, it was just us. That's the one I noticed that everyone seemed to get up a lot more through than every other match on the card.
Superb. Right then, NXT, we're going to start with you then. Obviously, you've done where you've watched the show live and you've watched the show back as well. So I want to give your score out of 10 of the experience of being there live, and then I want your score out of 10 for the show of watching it back. So what would be your scores for the two shows? Do they differ?
I don't think so, because I think they both have their own special perks to them. Like I said, being there, I think is soaking in the atmosphere and being involved in the crowd chants and that kind of stuff. I think it's just a special kind of thing. And then to go back and watch it in the network, like I said, I had a reason to go back and watch it because I missed some of the great stuff that like the commentary team brought up, like. Just a small note, like how they talked about Io Shirai and how she used to be in a faction in Japan with her sister and Asuka. And I was like, that's not stuff we normally get. And like I said, I was glad that I went back and watched it to get all these little bit of like extra information and stuff. But for me, if it had been Drew winning, I'd have given this a 10, 100%. But for the fact that the card's solid, I'm going to say 9 both times because I can go back and watch. I went back and watched it and enjoyed it just as much as I did being there live.
Absolutely. Jonesy, same questions to you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to go definitely at 8 out of 10. I think that like even both versions are exactly the same. They're both very, very good. It's not just the event; it's the whole day. It's the whole city itself. The presentation all day. Being around wrestling fans all day. It's amazing to realize there's that many wrestling fans. You never realize how many wrestling fans there are. And it was just incredible. Really, the whole day felt like you was around it. Almost felt like a WrestleMania. And for me, it was an 8 out of 10 show. I think some of the decisions probably weren't the best, but I went in not expecting to see Drew win, so I wasn't too disappointed. I was kind of a little bit disappointed, but for me, I just felt that if Drew would have won, it would have exploded. It would have been an absolute party atmosphere. Going out the arena, everyone would have been giving each other high fives. Instead, everyone was going out the arena. I just want to get a train and get out of here. That's kind of how it felt a little bit.
Absolutely. I imagine everyone would have been singing It's Come Home at last, you know what I mean? Like, but enough of the soccer references. I mean, the thing is, like, this show, I think there was a lot of great things about it. Even watching it at home as a viewer, I said to you, Jonesy, as well, I went in with my heart, not with my head, with that main event. And I've got to say, I'm so glad I did that because I enjoyed it thoroughly much more. And I genuinely believed that times Drew was going to do it. And for me, it's a show that I even though I wasn't there live, at times I felt like I was, because I was hearing stuff from you guys, which was really special. I'm really grateful because you both made me really feel part of it. And it's just like to watch it as well and feel that experience. Know as well that we don't know when we're next going to get a premium live event in the UK as well. So the fact that you were there to experience that first time in 30 years, to see Magic Moments. I mean, think about this. Edge return after being retired for a decade. You both got to see him live and he's only done a handful of matches. How special that is. Like, there's so many great things you can take away from that experience of that show. And I've got to say, very envious, but I'm glad you both had what seems overall a terrific experience.
Fantastic. Like, even being outside the arena, looking at the poster, thinking we're going to be going in there. It's like, wow. Like, you thinking on TV, you used to watch your pay-per-views on TV, you go in there and just getting into it. Like, even getting into the storyline, that main event had so many bells and whistles, even if the result wasn't what everyone wanted. It was incredible. Like, they just done such a good job in that main event of collecting a crowd's emotions and just turning them at any time. Like, everyone was invested, and it felt like going to a football game and being in a cup final and then just holding on, hoping your team can get the job done, really. But just amazing. Just such a moment in life that I'll appreciate.
Absolutely. Steve?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that this is going to be the start now of at least where we get one pay-per-view a year in the UK or even in Europe, especially with obviously NXT Europe being a thing and starting up next year. I presume the idea is for that to tour around Europe, which I think would be really amazing. But like I said, I think to help that, I think you've used to then go to, say, Madrid one year, then go to France and then to Rome, and then, do you know what I mean? I think it would be a really special thing if they could start doing it once a year in Europe. It just obviously plays alongside with the Saudi Arabia shows as well. So yeah, I think it'd be really special. I mean, obviously they give us these ones like Clash at the Castle and the old ones we used to get back in the day that were arena ones. I just think, yeah, one of the year I think is a fair request.
I think so. I think that definitely, if there's one thing that's come from this, like everyone brought it, everyone brought the Ray game. The fans were really into it. I mean, 60,000 people. Triple H said once you've done it, you want to do it again. Liv Morgan said it felt like WrestleMania. There was a real special buzz around this, and I agree. And I think, like you said there, they said they want to do more places. I don't think the UK is necessarily going to get it instantly straight away again, but maybe lads, we need to get our passports. Who knows? I can make a pledge as well for Stockholm and Copenhagen. Maybe they can bring it over there as well. But yeah, there's so many places that in Europe that could be fantastic to do shows in from WWE. Rome and do like a Roman theme. That'd be pretty awesome as well. So there's lots of things there to go over. But guys, I want to say thank you so much to give us your retrospective there, your feelings of being there in Cardiff, getting your your fan feedback of being there, the fan experience. It's really nice to hear that back. And just to drop things off for the rest of this episode, if you don't mind, obviously a bit of news broke on Monday Night Raw last night, and I wanted to discuss it with you. I want to discuss the pros and cons of the return to Braun Strowman to WWE. Now, I would agree that there's probably a lot of negativity that's probably come with his return, mainly in the way he returned, but there are probably some pros as well. But NXT, I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind. What was your reaction to Braun Strowman returning to Monday Night Raw last night and the way he returned?
What a way to bury your entire tag division. Let's have one guy destroy. Well, to be fair, he destroyed 6 of them because the New Day didn't get involved at all once he come out. It was a #1 contenders match, which could have been a fantastic match. And you've just had them all whooped by one guy. And I was like, this is the dumbest return they've done so far. I actually enjoyed the rest of the show. I thought it was okay. I didn't mind it. It was just, I really didn't know what to expect. And to have him come out and beat essentially 6 guys, I just thought was horrendous. I'm not Braun Strowman's biggest fan. It takes a lot for me to get invested in him. And when you come back and he falls over doing his unique like run around the ring move, and I'm like, this just proves this was a bad call, because he fell over after he didn't even hit Chad Gable. Chad Gable had to sell it like he got hit. And then the camera just pans so quickly that he's up again and takes out Otis through the barricade. And then he's wearing them horrifically bright red jeans. I was like, hang on a minute. Imperium have lost the red coats and Braun's inherited them in the shape of red jeans. I'm like, no, this was horrific. I have confidence in Triple H's booking, and I can be like, I've got hope that it will turn into something good and something that I can be invested in, but I'm just not into Braun Strowman at the minute, and it will take something special for me to be like, yeah, okay, I'm into him now.
I understand that entirely. And obviously, like you say, it's very Shockmaster, very Titus O'Neil-esque the way he fell on that return. Yeah. It's not quite what you want, is it? But, I mean, obviously, burying a tag team division there. Jonesy, you and I spoke off air about this on Facebook Messenger earlier, and we were discussing the idea of, obviously, you said you wouldn't get this back in the day with like an Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys and Dudley Boys. I said no, but you would have got Kane perhaps do it with, say, the tag teams like Too Cool, maybe, or Kai and Tai. Maybe, I suppose you would go with your 24/7 division, your hardcore division, for example. But this felt like a bit of weird, wrong placement. I know that some of these tag teams, as I'm saying to you, Jonesy, they're not in the top area right now because the Street Profits have had their opportunity. New Day and Usos happened so many times. The Far Rows isn't a big deal. And the fact is as well, with the other tag team, it doesn't even, not even like Alpha Academy have been jobbing a bit as well. Silk, I will come back to you, by the way, don't worry. But Jonesy, like literally, I do feel to myself, like you said there, it buries the tag team division. It does harm it a lot. And it's not the first time he's done that. He's done that with Nicholas before as well.
I'm going to try and be composed. So what I would say with that, Steve, you make some fantastic points. The trouble is, back in the day when we had them other tag teams, we had jobbing tag teams. We don't have any other top tag teams. The ones in this contenders match were the best we've got besides the Viking Warriors. And it's not like we could got another 4 teams that are ready to go against the Usos. That's the problem. And if you look at Braun supposedly is a babyface, going to be on SmackDown supposedly. For a babyface debut, wasn't the placement, would have been far better at in the cage match in the main event, taking that door out. But for me, this was one of the worst decisions I've seen of Triple H since, unfortunately. This Raw, for me, there's a lot of issues, but I won't go over too many of them. The last thing I would say as well, just one other issue I have to mention is Dexter Lumis, for example. He's now able to come in the ring with, like, he's now signed apparently, and that's not even explained, but that's another issue. With Braun, though, you've got to hope that they book him right. My memories of him is him running around the ring, as Steve says, slipping up, chasing slime, wrestling in swamps. You know what I mean? This is a guy that if he's booked right, yes, he's far more credible than a Commander Aziz or Omos. I'm much more grateful to see him than them two, but not a very good return for me. I think I'm not sure where he fits, and it just didn't feel good. Your tag team division needs urgent work, and this is something that you couldn't really afford to hit. I would much rather he attacked a few other mid-carders, ex-24/7 wrestlers, 5 or 6 at a time, than take out the whole tag team division on his own. Unless he's going to get a tag team partner. Maybe Nicholas has come back next week. Perhaps that's a big secret surprise.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. He's going to destroy the tag team division. He's going to destroy the tag division and bring back Nicholas as a 14-year-old. It's going to be horrific.
He's older now. He's not 14. He's 17. He's
older than
he's 14.
Mysterio,
probably. He's 14 now, is he?
10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was 10 when he won the titles.
Anyway.
Yeah, I just checked. He was 10 when he won the titles in 2018, so he should be 14 now. So yeah, oh my god.
Yeah.
Painful, very painful.
The Usos, probably. Not
that's what we don't want to see. And if you're watching, don't do it. I mean, the thing is for Braun Strowman, let's go with I agree with a lot of the cons that you've said there. I can't disagree with any of them. I think you're spot on right, but I'm going to go with a couple of pros, if you don't mind, because I like to find the good in the bad, and I like to think where there is some good, hopefully light at the end of the tunnel, certainly with the choo-choo train, which I don't believe why he did that either. Let's do it. So the pros are, Braun Strowman of 2017 could flip over, trucks could flip over, whatever. He was the guy that could beat all these people in one go. So it seemed like it could be believable that Braun could do such a thing. If you want Braun to be at the level he was there, Braun has to come in and he has to cause chaos. He has to destroy the people around him. So for that, I'll give that the pro of amongst the loads of cons. They were the wrong people in the wrong place at the wrong time. And for me, it was the wrong placement of the show as well. This felt like it was in a nothing part of Monday Night Raw. It was in like the second segment, like your first time you'd probably get a drink or something to eat or whatever of Monday Night Raw. But the pro here for me, he's going to be on SmackDown on Friday. Now, if he's going to be on SmackDown on Friday, he fits Friday Night SmackDown more than he fits Monday Night Raw, because on Friday Night SmackDown, he's got people to feud with like Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross, Sheamus, Gunther. There are some interesting matches to have there. On Monday Night Raw, we've seen him against Seth Rollins. We've seen him against Lashley. We've seen him against The Miz. We've seen him against most of the people that are on that show. Braun Strowman, it's a loaded show now. Braun isn't needed on Monday Night Raw. He's just another face there. If he comes on SmackDown, he actually has a placement and actually could fit in the show. Now, I'm not saying necessarily if he come on SmackDown, decided to destroy the Viking Raiders and Los Lotharios on Friday would have been any better, but maybe he could come in a more high-profile position. Maybe he could have better matches, and maybe there's just a placement for him on SmackDown. NXT, would you agree?
But then why bring him back on Raw? If you're just going to put him on SmackDown, do you know what they'd have been better off doing? They would have been better off having a 24/7 division championship scramble with a load of the people out the locker room and just have Braun come out. And don't even let him win the title. Just let him just come out and destroy like 10 guys that are just in the loser locker room, that are just sitting catering all day, that need a spot, and give them some airtime and let him do it that way. Don't go out and destroy your 4 credible tag teams that legitimately have tag team names. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if they'd have been tag teams that were thrown together, that were going by, for instance, Nikki ASH and Doudrop, they don't have a tag team then. They're just 2 thrown together. Fine. But the fact that you've destroyed 4 established tag teams, well, 3 to be fair, I just thought it was a big joke. Like I said, the comments you made were right. If he goes to SmackDown, he fits in perfectly with the big guys: Karrion Kross, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Roman Reigns. 100%. But why bring him back on Raw? Because it was a shambles.
It was, and it was the wrong placement to do so. And you mentioned about tag teams and stuff like that. Jonesy, you can elaborate on that, but I want to ask you a question of, is WWE there trying to tell us that these are not the tag teams that are going to take out the Usos? These are not the tag teams of the future. Are we waiting for perhaps the reunited of DIY from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Is that the fix of what WWE is actually going to give for the tag team division? A returning RK Bro when Randy Orton's healthy again?
I'll answer your question, Steve. You make a good point. Maybe they're telling you that, but the problem is this needs urgent work today. So you can't really be taking that Street Profits teams like that. Street Profits are coming off a high at that pay-per-view. You know what I mean? It's one of them things where it's not the best. If it was down to me, we can go back in time. What I would do, call this crazy, I would have had Braun Strowman join Judgment Day. That would have been a far better move to make. He would have fitted in instantly, gives that group a lift as well. Could have done some great work there. I think that would have been a far better placement. But there are some pros to it. Obviously, hopefully, he will give certain people a rub. I'm just not too sure where he fits in on SmackDown, honestly. I agree with your fact that there's some bigger guys there. It's just a weird way. The only other thing I can try and justify this is all this crazy backstage shenanigans with cars being flipped and all this lot. It's a very easy way to blame Braun and get that storyline done without having to actually think about what the outcome is and answer. So maybe that's the way they've done that. But it was, not the best debut, unfortunately. The fact he slipped up is just fits the Shane McMahon thing we've seen, which is no fault of his own. He looked in really good condition, good shape, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just hope that he's treated right and that they book him sensibly. Don't put him in silly feuds and stuff. His promos have never been great. This is where you need a mouthpiece with him at some point. You need to find some sort of mouthpiece. LA Knight's the one I would like to do. Put with
or
him.
Alexa Bliss.
One. Or Alexa Bliss again. You could do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of really good suggestions there. And that's the next question I was going to say is how should Braun be booked in WWE going forward? Because like you said, if we got the 2017 Braun, that guy had a bit of hype about him. When he got to 2018, before the heel turn, before the Money in the Bank, I thought that this guy was a ready-made world champion in the making. But since then, let's be fair, the booking's been piss poor up until he was released. Now he's back. They can't fall in the same traps once again, can they, Steve?
No, I mean, for me personally, if you're going to put a mouthpiece with him, Alexa Bliss, and make him almost like a macho man, Miss Elizabeth kind of thing, where Braun carries her around on his shoulder. Do you know what I mean? Just make and then raise the elevation of Alexa Bliss, and then you can get Alexa Bliss back as a women's champion, and have Braun as a bodyguard and all that kind of stuff, and just make it like intertwine their stories previously from before, obviously with Bray Wyatt and stuff. And yeah, I just like I said, I have confidence that Triple H will do the right thing and he will book this right. It's just, day one has gone not so great for me.
Poor Raquel, by the way, you're pairing with Alexa Bliss, but I do understand why you've gone with that after the mixed match challenge and the history they've got together, the little and big, how they were before. They were fantastic. I think it's a great suggestion you make there, by the way, Steve. Jonesy, anything you'd like to say of how you think would be the right way with Braun Strowman going forward?
I think the finish, you just got to keep him away from that world title, in all honesty. Make him an attraction, make him sort of somebody that people are scared of, build him up slowly. A Gunther Braun Strowman match could be money down the line if they do it right.
100%, yeah.
And that's probably maybe the route they'll go down. For me, I thought we'd be getting Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman. That's the route they were going to go down, in all honesty. But his work as a babyface isn't the best, to be fair. He's a far better heel. You just got to trust in Triple H. Like, you've obviously got to give him this chance, see what he can do with it. It's a lot of money for WWE to be bringing back on there. They're going to be paying him a hell of a lot of money. If they were clever, I would love to have seen him gone to SmackDown and reunite with Karrion Kross. You've got that whole thing with EC3, control your narrative. They could have done that if they were being clever. You can't obviously use that stable name, but there's nothing stopping them two teaming. And that could really explain a lot of the weird stuff that's been going on backstage, which we still don't know fully.
Absolutely. Well, they can't have the name Control because we now got Damage Control, but maybe they could have had the group narrative.
They could have done that. Very clever, Steve. I agree with you.
That could have been a way they could have gone. I like that suggestion, Jonas. You're really, really clever. But in fact, as well, with Alexa Bliss as well there, that you've got a lot that you can work with there. So WWE, you can use some of those ideas. Just don't bring back Nicholas. What we'll do is then for the rest of the stream, we'll go through some of the chat. We're going to go for just around under 10 minutes, if that's okay with everybody. So the comments we've got in, those are what we'll do. And then we're going to wrap things up today. But what we'll say is, first off, Underground Table Plays, Braun Strowman returns to WWE. I think it's a one-trick pony, if I'm honest, but that's just me. What Triple H do that Vince already did with him. And we'll have to wait and see if anything can be done differently. Like we said, we've come up with a couple of ideas that we think could be quite fun and interesting, but let's wait and see. But Steve, first of all, you had something to say that you're into one-trick pony?
For me personally, I think all big guys are a one-trick pony. But like I said, you said, if you put him on SmackDown with the big guys, then yes, he can do something special, and maybe you can put him in that title scene if you book him against the right opponents. I remember at one point this guy was feuding with Kalisto of all people. Yes. It's like, how am I supposed to believe that Kalisto is ever going to beat Braun Strowman? It's just, they need to just make sure that they put him against the right opponent. And like Jonesy said, Gunther versus Braun Strowman could actually be money, and it could be really good.
It could be. Jonesy?
Yeah, I'd agree with the points that Steve makes. I think exactly that. They've just got to do the right booking. Like sometimes, what I find a lot with WWE at the moment is they start a storyline. It's fantastic on paper, then they miss parts of it, and they seem to just abandon it. That you're putting so much money into Braun Strowman, bringing him back. You could have another credible title for the challenger for the world title down the line if you do it right. It was an interesting addition. If I'm being honest, I'd much rather Bray Wyatt was back now than Braun. It's probably not the right time for Bray, but it's the start of a return, isn't it? It's something different. It's just where they go with it, and I hope there's a plan. Obviously, if it's Extreme Rules, it's just how he's going to fit in, and obviously who he's going to be feuding with. That's the interesting thing to see, really.
Absolutely, it's probably the money question at this point going into SmackDown. Changing the topic just a little bit, Anthony, thank you for checking that stream, by the way, said, I felt that Mandy Rose didn't deserve to be the undisputed NXT Women's Champion. Her title reign has gotten bland the past few months, and it should have had Blair Davenport winning. I'm going to say I predicted Mandy to win, but I think Mandy's time is coming. Halloween Havoc is the next Premium Live event for NXT, and it's going to be on a Saturday, I believe, this year, not actually just on a random Tuesday. I think that's going to be the roughly 1 year anniversary. I think that's when Mandy drops the championship, and I did feel, looking at the free combatants, Blair hasn't had enough time for me on American television, or you could make a star overnight. Miko, incredible performer, but she's meant to be a trainer for NXT Europe, so it just felt for me that Mandy, she's been going on this role as NXT Women's Champion for a long time. It's the name everybody knows, and she's been putting everybody away. It's kind of almost like a Roman Reigns thing. Who's going to be the one? So I felt that it was the right decision in my personal opinion, but I think that the person that it could be coming up shortly. NXT, you look like you're very keen to get on the mic there, so I'll let you jump in first.
No, I was just going to say, I think for me, there's only one person I'd want to see take that title off her now, and it's Kaylee Ray, Alba Fire. I think that she's been out of the title picture long enough now. Yeah, like you said, Blair Davenport, she's new to the American crowd. Like, as much as I'd love to have seen her win, Mandy Rose was the right booking. But yeah, I think Alba Fire is going to be the one that eventually takes that title off her. Hopefully, so say if that is the one, then yeah, we'll get that at Halloween Havoc.
Absolutely. Jason, I know you're not a big NXT watcher these days, but any thoughts on that?
I thought Blair Davenport was going to win, to be honest. I thought, although I'm a massive fan of Mika Sasamura is probably, given the time, she'll be the best women's wrestler in WWE. I think she's so good. But if you see any of her work in NXT UK, very underrated, been across the world. She's like a lot better version of Oscar, in all honesty. She's incredible. Like, they just need to give her the right gimmick and give her that chance to be in front of a mainstream audience, I think.
We'll have to wait and see how it will play out there for you. But Anthony, thanks for that question. She also says, EO feels very out of place, in control. I think someone else should have been in the group with Bailey and Dakota, in his opinion. I'm actually down with Damage Control. I like them the way they are, personally, if I'm being really honest.
What I was going to say, I love one last thing as well from the Clash. Sorry, I just remembered it while we mentioned Damage Control. Their new theme music was excellent, and the Videotron was excellent with the name. That's another thing that I forgot to mention. That was incredible seeing the debut of that there. But
they've changed that Videotron already. It's a new one on Raw.
Oh, okay. I didn't even spot that. Well spotted, Steve.
To be fair, I think the new one is even better than the one that they had at Clash, if I'm honest.
Wow. I thought it was just really, really good. And I think EO's done a fantastic job. It's great she's on the main roster. I'm just happy seeing her any guys, because she was incredible in NXT. It's one we thought we were going to lose. The fact she's got this spot, I'm a fan of it. This could lead to potentially an Oscar EO match down the line. EO has got the potential to be a future women's champion. She's far more credible than Liv Morgan down the line. I think she'll be far more credible than Liv Morgan, personally. She's given that chance.
I think EO's future is very bright. I love the fact that Bailey's pushing 2 future stars there, and I think Dakota's getting a lot off this group as well. Steve, anything you'd like to add just before we move on to the comments?
No, go for it, mate.
Let's go for it. Underground says, then SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium would be nice. It would be very nice. Wouldn't be against it. But the thing is, though, just another question from Clash, by the way. Cardiff has the roof. Was the roof actually closed?
Yeah, it was closed.
Yeah.
Because of the rain.
Because the castle, the castle is actually attached to the lighting rigs that were all attached to the roof. So, yeah, it was closed the whole time.
That's perfect, because we have opportunity to have every show possible. WWE, if we want to do a Royal Rumble in Cardiff, they could. That's a really exciting thing. So hopefully we get one of the big shows one day. I don't expect it to be WrestleMania, but certainly would love to have one of those.
There was a sign as Imperium were coming in, and the guy said, the UK deserves a WrestleMania, just as Imperium were coming in. And I was like, that's a great sign. The only problem is you've used a gold bit of paper and it's really hard to read.
I think the only thing that will stop it really is the time zone difference. Like WWE want to please the American audience and audience across the world. So this is why maybe a September pay-per-view they can get away with it. But I'd love to see them do a big event. Like, particularly if you've got a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam, could be absolutely incredible. Wembley would be the location though, instead of Cardiff, I believe. If they do it because of capacity.
Do Wembley have the closed roof as well?
I have no idea about the closed roof.
It closes partially. It doesn't close all the way. It closes like 75%, but there's still an open area. So if they were to use it, it'd have to be like a summer event.
Would it be like would it be like that WrestleMania where they had rain and like sort of the delays and stuff? Maybe do you remember that? Where there's a pirate ship?
That's why I say it'd have to be like a SummerSlam, for instance. I think it's the only one they could pull off because of the weather and stuff. Like if they tried doing like, especially over here in June, July, when it's like 40 degrees, it's not going to work. It needs to be sort of a late summer or like a late springtime.
Absolutely. Underground says, what if Strowman's return with him buried the entire tag division in a way Bray Wyatt returns and we get Braun Strowman in the tag team division? Just a thought. I would say, I think personally, both of them are bigger than the tag team division, but that's just me, Jonesy.
Yeah, they've been paid $4.5 million allegedly together. So $4.5 million on your tag team division, probably not, unfortunately. But it'd be great to see that team. But last time Bray and Braun were together, it caused me nightmares, swamps, and all the other stuff. I just don't want to go back to that, please. I don't want to think about it.
No, not at all.
What's this stuff I've heard about Bray actually joining a completely different company? I think
they put an offer out, haven't they? They put an offer at some unknown company that's going to be run by Freddie Prinze Jr.
That's the one.
He's obviously a former writer at WWE, really famous in the Buffy series. He's approached Bray. I don't know if Bray's signed. I think Bray's going WWE, mate. I'd be surprised if he goes to an unknown. Tony Khan probably could have made a similar offer and he hasn't. Bray needs the production values of WWE to escalate that gimmick. If he's in an unknown company, it's a big risk, I think, really, because his wrestling ability alone isn't that great, I don't think.
I mean, the thing is as well, when you look at it, I mean, Freddie Prinze Jr., remember he put the plans out, wanted equal pay for men and women. He had all these great ideas of how he wanted to make a promotion and stuff like that. And I was really on board with it. But obviously, you look with people that are trying to start promotions, Braun were there with controlling narrative. They're all back in WWE. So if it doesn't work and it doesn't take off the way you want it to, still WWE is that big market in town. They're always going to be one with the shots to call. And now Triple H is there as well. Feels like the most popular place to go. We were aware of the AEW turmoil as well at the moment backstage. So you feel like WWE would be the choice if Bray was to go anywhere, but we'll have to wait and see how it would play out. Martin says, I've got the feeling that Hornswoggle got himself involved with Strowman tripping. That's where he goes on to say with the rest of the comment. Do love that. Nuben Co is saying that, Braun is coming back to SmackDown, and for me, as I say, I hope he stays there, although I hope that he doesn't destroy the Usos and Solo Sikoa.
I don't think he will. I think Kevin Owens is the one that's going to be doing that, and that's going to lead to Sami Zayn leaving, isn't he? Sikoa's the replacement for Sami Zayn, so Braun could be a good one to do that, but I don't think they'll treat the Usos like they treat the rest of the tag teams on Raw. I'll be shocked if they do that. Never say never, though.
Never say never. Silk?
Yeah, I'm waiting for SmackDown, really, and I'm going to wait and see what they do, because at the minute, my brain's just like, I honestly don't know what they're going to do, so SmackDown is honestly going to be a surprise for me, because I haven't got a clue at the minute.
Neither do I. Braun Strowman versus Marco Stunt is the money match indeed, Martin. Poor Marco Stunt. That's probably not going to end well for him, is it? The choo-choo train should stay away from Roman Reigns as of now. Totally agree. And the traction roll, as I've said earlier by the lads, I think is a great idea. And Noob, though, thinks, though, that Braun Strowman is going after the Bloodline on Friday. I mean, perhaps in a way it makes sense to go straight for the top. You go for the big dog. Although Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, he's not going to be there.
He's not back to Saudi Arabia now, I believe, as a pay-per-view. That's his next pay-per-view title defense.
So I have to wait and see. We keep an open mind of what is going to happen here. But one thing
he's got to defend that greatest Royal Rumble championship yet. The one that's only ever been seen once from Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely, indeed, we have to agree. And to make sure you get your own question in sometimes when you're on the podcast, NXSteve, do you think Dom could become the Latino Heat? Well, NXSteve, you've asked the question. I'm going to let you answer it first.
Let me explain this one. So obviously, like, the whole feud is Dom versus his dad, right? And I noticed a slight bit as he got out of the ring that he had very Eddie Guerrero-esque mannerisms. So my thought is that if you book Dom as a heel, play into the Latino Heat thing, because everyone loves Eddie Guerrero. So if you have Dom portraying himself as Latino Heat, comes out to the music and everything, I think it would be a massive way to get him over as a heel. And then obviously to book it with his father, he could even turn around and say to Ray, he goes, "You're not my father, Eddie was my father," and all this kind of stuff. I just think it'd be a great way to get Dom over as a heel.
It'd be very interesting. I mean, Rhea Ripley already coming around saying, "I'm your puppy" on Raw this past week. Jonesy, any thoughts of if Dom could become the Latino Heat?
I love that idea. You sold it to me. I wasn't sold when you said it, but yeah, for me, I think it's a good shout. I am not impressed by Dom. I've got to be honest with you. The lack of a mute, his new gimmick's a mute on Raw this week. I don't know if he's got the charisma to pull this heel turn off, in all honesty. He looked like he was under Papa Shango's trance. I thought I was back in 92 watching that, to be honest. We've already got Rhea Ripley as a manager. We've got Dominik Mysterio as a manager now. I know he's in the ring next week against Edge. This is a massive position for Dom Mysterio. And let's see if he can carry a match with Edge. And let's see. I expect somebody who's just turned heel to be able to deliver a killer promo, really. That's what they're going to need to do because Rey Mysterio's promos in this feud have been incredible. I don't know if Dom can match that. And to get into this story, we need Dom Mysterio to be able to really sell that he hates his dad.
Yeah, and that's what I said. This is why the booking for Clash didn't make no sense to me. Why would you help your dad and your an Edge win?
It's almost
just
like
to then turn on him. It doesn't make sense.
It's almost like and it's just like Rick clicked a finger. Oh, you need to attack him now. You're now under the trance again. Papa Shango's curse again. Yeah. Boom. Maybe I don't know.
The story made sense on Saturday. It made no sense when it got to Monday. That was the problem. Like you said there, I understand that Don was like, "Well, you needed my help to win that match, so now I can tell you should have had me all along." But it's like you joined in Judgment Day. You should have helped Judgment Day win. It didn't make, like you said, it made no sense in the end. But I like the beatdown of Edge on Raw. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked the way that, but I thought Edge was going to be written off TV for ages. He's back next week. I thought, well, he won't be back till Crown Jewel either.
I've got one.
I just want to say,
I've gone. No,
I was just going to say. Go on.
No, all I was going to say 2 points. So there's two things. A, Dominik Mysterio's not wearing a Judgment Day t-shirt. He looked like a butler. He was like their butler or something with that gimmick he was wearing his shirt. That's totally attention to detail gone. The other thing, how they get out of this, I think Rey Mysterio and Edge. I thought Edge would be written off, but he isn't. Legado del Fantasma needs to join Rey Mysterio. That's the route they need to go down to equal out the numbers because this is a numbers game at the moment. They're 4-on-2 at the moment. Where are we going with this? You know what I mean? I know it's going to be a singles feud, but this feud's been going on for months now, and I enjoyed part of it, but I just think for me, I want to see Rhea Ripley back in the ring. If I get Rhea Ripley back in the ring at the end of this, because she's looking like a star. Her promo work on Raw was incredible this week. Carried the whole angle. Dom Mysterio, this is a big week next week. We need to see him out there in the mic selling it. You know what I mean? When somebody does a heel promo or turns heel, they need to be able to convey that to me instead of just standing there as a mute. You know what I mean? It's not like I thought he could talk before, and I just haven't seen anything from him that indicates to me he's ready for the spot. I still think he's a bit green.
I think he's a bit green as well, but like you said, if it had Judgment Day, I mean, Underground has said it for many times. We've talked about. I think honestly, a combination of the four of us have spoke about the idea of Dom and Judgment, not Judgment Day, Legado del Fantasma for nearly a calendar year. I think we all thought that was a great idea, great fit, natural way it could have been done. It isn't the case, like you said, Jones. He's playing the butler. I again make a Carphone Warehouse reference there, as Russell Talk did earlier as well about how we looked. I mean, to be fair, it is what it is. Let's see how it's going to play out. I would like to see Rey Mysterio refuse to fight Dominik no matter what, so we can drag this out to WrestleMania and say, I'll fight any of the others, but I'm not fighting you. And we can even get to a point, like you said there, if we can get Legado to come and back up Rey a little bit, that
it's
could be
Kane and Undertaker again, Steve. Do you remember back in the day when Undertaker wouldn't fight Kane? It's that again, and that's what it'll be, mate. I agree with you.
Absolutely, indeed.
That's why he needs to do Latino. That's why he needs to do Latino heat.
I love the Latino heat. I love that. That sells it to me.
He triggers father into going like, "Oh, you want it that? Daddy's going to teach you a lesson now."
He's angry about the ladder match, the upcoming ladder match for the paternity, isn't he? He's still angry about that SummerSlam match.
Exactly. Absolutely. It could
be like Papa, essay or whatever it was. Sorry, I can't remember.
Absolutely. And as well, I mean, it's almost like the Halloween Havoc 97, we're getting the mask, because that's eventually what you think the end goal is going to be with Rey and Dom, is that Dom will get Rey's mask. But Underground says to close that segment with Dominik, have him smirk like Eddie Guerrero did, and you have Legado wear the LDF t-shirt, LWO inspired t-shirts, just thoughts. And he also says that Dominik and Rhea reminds him of Eddie Guerrero and China, to be honest. I mean, they kind of got the vibes there. So
yeah, that vibes.
It has got that vibes a little bit. Last comment we're going to read then, and then we're going to close off the stream. I think Asuka and Io will be a WrestleMania match. Hope Triple H will give us a proper storyline and better character development for Asuka. I mean, it's a match that I think would be big time. A lot of people are really keen on seeing this match. Do you reckon it'd be at WrestleMania? Do you reckon it could even be before, Jonesy?
I think it should be at WrestleMania. If they can keep these comments Michael Cole's dropping, like the one on the Clash of the Castle show,
yes,
they need to keep them references up. Yeah, I think this could be a WrestleMania match. In ring, it could be fantastic. You've got Asuka, the Wounded Warrior, trying to get a reputation back. Io Sky, the upstart. This could be a women's title match, and it would feel huge, even without a belt. If you give it a belt, it's that much bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve?
Yeah, 100%. Like, this would make money no matter where you put it on any match, at any point, at any pay-per-view during the calendar year. This would be a fantastic match.
I have to agree 100% with that there. But I think WrestleMania would be the great place if they could do it then. Martin says as well, great stuff, guys. Enjoyed hearing your thoughts and the experience at Cardiff. And I've got to say a big thank you to both as well for coming in and telling us all about Cardiff. It was a lot of fun there. I really enjoyed going through all of it with you both. And all I'm going to say is I'm glad that you both had a great experience. And let's start the petition, everybody. Let's get WWE to come back one more time, because let's be fair, it was awesome. So we need to have it. I think it's one of the best pay-per-views of the year. I'm not just being biased. I wasn't there. So I just think even from a viewing experience, it was one of the best that I've seen for a very, very long time. But Guys, I want to say thank you for joining us. I'd like to say with Jonesy, you can subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's on Twitch as well, playing Football Manager. He's on the Rated R Wrestling Report as well there. NXSteve joins on Jonesy Chats Wrestling from time to time as well. And both of them, I'm very lucky to say, join me on this channel as well from time to time. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. And like I say, share with a friend as well. I've got a bit of breaking news for everybody. Monetization is close. It's a lot closer than it's ever been. In fact, I'm going to reveal to you now, 70 hours away. It's all we're asking is 70 hours, and this channel can be monetized. So if you can take some time out. Yeah, thank you. If you can literally spare some time to watch some videos on this channel, and we can get that in the next 4 to 5 weeks, this channel can be monetized. So that is where we are at this point. I will look to be back this week to do another stream, maybe a Q&A of some sorts. Probably be a special quick fire Q&A I'm going to do this week. I want to try something a bit different because sometimes I'm behind on the chat, so I want to try a quick fire Q&A for you. I'll try and do it maybe with a 30 or 60 minute time limit to try and get through as many as possible in quick fashion. Jones, anything you'd like to say you'd like to before we leave today?
No, thank you for having me again, Steve. Always great to be on your channel. Always like hearing your opinions. Looking forward to the rebirth of Eddie Guerrero. I'm counting on that now still and go away happy tonight. But no, thank you very much, both of you. It's been great.
It's been great to have you on. NXSteve, anything you'd like to share just before you leave the stream today?
Same as what Jonesy said. Thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to if at some point you hopefully do an all-out review because I want to see that.
Yeah, I want to see that as well.
I will try and do something of some format. I feel I've probably left it a bit late to do it on its own. So what I will do is maybe if we do a Q&A this week, I can discuss all things all out on that show and give you a breakdown of the important things. So I will say there's probably half of that show that didn't really seem that important. So that's what I'll do for you on that quick fire one. But yeah, that's all from us anyway. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube. If you've missed any of this video, go back to the start. If I'm being honest with you, I'm really proud of this video. I think it was awesome. So make sure to go and check out if you haven't seen bits already. Take care. All the best. We'll see you next time.